Hello everyone, welcome to Kitchen Table Talk presented by Scrumptious Creole Kitchen. I am Lauren Clayton, the creator of Scrumptious Creole Kitchen and Kitchen Table Talk. So it's great to be here. I want to start off, since this is about finding your passion and following your passion, which is something I'm very passionate about, I wanted to start with a quote by Oprah, which says, "The greatest gift you can receive or give is to live your calling." So I just think that this is so important because it's kind of what we signed up to do. There's kind of like a little bit of spirituality into this, but I do believe that, all of us have a purpose, and like no one's just here by accident, and we all signed up to do certain things, meet certain people, bring certain people into the world. All of that is very sacred and is part of our calling. So, and I think a lot of people get kind of overwhelmed by this topic, or it brings up some sadness, or they're just like, they are in this kind of state where it's kind of like, oh yeah, well I have things I love, but that's just really impractical to live my dreams, or just thinking it's this like flowery thing, but it's not, and it's super serious to take that seriously in your life. And a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, I don't even know what my passion is. I don't know what my calling or what I'm supposed to be doing, and I've been doing this for so long, whatever it is, X, Y, or Z, their job or whatever, that they're just so disconnected from their calling. Or they have grown up in an environment or just become conditioned to people telling them that whatever they're passionate about or whatever their dream isn't realistic, or they shouldn't be doing it. So, and that happens as a child. Like, you can get conditioned by your parents or, peers telling you that they don't, I don't know, it could be from jealousy or whatever. But when your parents tell you things, I think a lot of times it's coming from a good place. They want you to, be secure and have a good, safe kind of job, whatever that means, and kind of push you away from your passion a lot. Not always, but, some of us have parents like that, so that's okay. So if you are someone that's super disconnected or wondering what that passion of yours is that you get to be living every day of your life, sit down. I always like to journal. Journaling really helps you process anything. And sit down and write, or think about, but if you really need to do some soul searching, write down, what is it that just makes you feel alive? And it doesn't matter. Don't say, oh, that's not it, or that's weird, or it could be anything. It could be knitting. It could be collecting action figures. It could be Star Wars. One of my best friends, Tracy, has a very successful podcast and website that's about Star Wars. And that's just from following her bliss. So whatever it is for you, think about it, really write it down, and whatever that is, and it could be multiple things, by the way. So whatever gets you in that state of just bliss and happiness, and like something you could just do all day. It might be also a good idea to answer the question, what if I had all the money in the world? If you had like hundreds of millions of dollars, you didn't have to worry about money, like what would you do all day? And let's say it's vacation. Well, maybe that's your passion. Maybe one of your things is to, start a travel blog, or, write about it, or Instagram about it. Just taking some little action can lead to more of that. But going back to what I was saying about what it is that makes you feel alive is so, so, so important. And it's called, I call it being in the flow state, or really being in the moment, being present and feeling alive. And there's a great book called, national bestseller, called Flow. I'm not going to even try to pronounce this motherfucker's last name or name at all, but it's a really famous book. And it's about peak and optimal experiences. You can listen to it on tape or read the book. It's just a good book to have. Another person that I love that talks about this in his own way is Tony Robbins. He's all about being in that flow state, and actually in state change. So if you're in a, funky state, or maybe like a negative place, or emotion. It's how do I get you back up? How do I get you in this optimal peak performance? And so, but when you are living your passion or doing things that you're passionate about, you organically get there. It's like turning on a light. It's effortless. So, and that's just an indication from the universe, God, whatever higher power you believe in, that, now you're aligned and this is what your calling is and what you're supposed to be doing. And I talk about Oprah a lot because, she's like my imaginary best friend, and I just love her and I love her story. But she is one of those people that just really followed her heart. And she said that every decision and everything kind of like flowed into her life from this like gut instinct and about what felt right. She's not, like this rational, logical, just in her head. Every decision that she made, whether, she was standing up for herself and getting fired from, at the time, a well-paying job, but everything led her on her way to what she is today. And it's not like there's no other Oprah. She created who she is by just following her heart and like being true to herself. And she didn't really know. She always talks about, I didn't know what I was going to be. Because she was going to be this unique person, but she was like, I knew that I was supposed to do something, and I knew that I had this huge calling and to impact the world. And so she just kept following her gut instincts and what felt right and what didn't feel right. And sometimes, you're in something and it feels good, and then that plays itself out, and then it's time to move on to the next thing. So it's also important to, things that get you in that flow state will change, and they should. You should be evolving. We all have our things that are base things that we love and desire and all of that, but it should continue to evolve as you do. And I just use her as an example because, she started off as a news journalist and as a news journalist, like an anchor for the news. And then she got demoted and they were like, go on this talk show. And then, but then they changed the show to the Oprah show because it was just, she just brought it to life and it just clicked with her. So she had a calling in that area. And then, she had a desire to be in the movies, but she just followed her desires, and she just she's very aligned in that way where when she knows something is has this burning desire for something, she knows that she's meant to do it. And she always says that she's like, I know, she's been through a lot in her life, but she's like, I know that I'm a child of God, or, another way to say that is the universe has your back. And so, or, you're just meant to do certain things, and there's a lot of forces that are guiding you if you just let them and not stress out. So she's like, yeah, I always knew that. So I knew that when I had those gut feelings or this came up, that either whatever she wanted would be drawn into her life, or if something happened that looked bad, or she just knew that it was leading to something better. So really having that trust and faith is super important too. So finding out what your desire is, what your passion is, and then having the faith, because I think that's where a lot of us stop just right at step 2 is oh, well, that's not going to work out for me. I can't it just won't. If you just have faith and have fun and be in the moment and be in that flow state, everything will come to you that you need. Whatever your heart really desires, if you just have the faith and you don't block it with any doubt, worry, just low vibration energies, which is, just anything that causes discomfort, any of those feelings. If you don't block them with that, if you have the mental and emotional discipline to not block them with that, when they come up, just go, I just use my breath, exhale it away. And if you just go back and stay laser focused on exactly what you want, and what you want is what you want, need, and deserve anyway. So if you focus on that completely, then it will come to you faster. What you focus on expands. Then it will come into your life. And all the circumstances, all the people will just line up there for you because it's what you're meant to have. And, the universe, God, whatever your higher power belief isn't trying to make life hard for you. Yes, we have to go through certain obstacles and challenges and things like that, and that's to strengthen our mind, body, and spirit. But what we desire is just waiting for us sometimes, and then we just block it with, we block it with negative energies that I talked about, like anxiety and fear, but also self-sabotage, just anesthetizing yourself with, food, TV, going out too much, gossip, I don't know, any like bad habit that you have, right? So, I mean, for me, the TV that I watch is minimal. It's usually like cooking shows, because I'm really into cooking shows, and I get some good ideas off of there. But besides that, my TV is the fucking size of an iPad, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need, because I don't want it could be an energy, drainer, and you don't want that. You want to keep your creative flow alive and flowing. So you just have to be careful about things that will block that out. And it could be anything from your own thoughts to any other self-sabotaging behavior. That's also an excellent thing to journal about. You could just say, what is it in my life, in my habits, my everyday existence that I could do without, that I could eliminate and get rid of? And what you do with that, it takes a little discipline because you've created a habit around it, but when you get rid of it, you create this opening and space for so much more. And you'll notice you have more energy, and you're even more inspired, and you're even more in flow all the time, and whatever you want, it just comes. There's no resistance anymore because you took this thing that was blocking it from being in flow. So doing those things are super, super, super important. And so once you do that, so whatever your passion is, so I'll take my thing. My thing is like one of my things. I have many things, and I really think it's important to express all parts of yourself. So one of my things is cooking. I love to cook. I feel very passionate about like the energy that you put into food and the intention behind it. I love low carb and gluten-free things. That just works with my body. And so I created a brand around it, and I just started really small, and I gave myself a deadline, and I'm like, okay, bitch, I was talking to myself, and I'm like, I'm going to get a holiday book done. I've always wanted to do this, and I gave myself a deadline, and I put it out there, and I just did it. And it wasn't perfect. I'm going to go back and revise it and make it prettier, but I just like did it. It's like you just have to do it. I was like taking pictures on my iPhone that sucked, and like, but for my food, and like I didn't care. It was just like just getting it out there and like proving to myself that it wasn't scary, or I can't do it, or I'll put it off, whenever, next month, year. So another one of my favorite quotes is, the road to someday leads to the town of nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? You cannot say someday. You're just taking a little step, like set up an Instagram account, set up a little website for it, go buy some stuff, and set up a specific time of day that you will devote every single day, even if it's just for 30 minutes, to doing that passion. If you're not completely living in your passion right now, which is fine, but the point is to eventually kind of always live in your passion, because that's what you're here to do. And it's super sacred. It's super important. We're kind of, again, conditioned to think that it's this, thing that, I don't know, people that aren't responsible do, or something like that. No. The highest and best responsibility is knowing your passion and living in it, because you enhance your life, you raise your own consciousness and vibration, and you do that for other people. Like, even just on my Instagram account for Scrumptious Creole Kitchen, I mean, I get so much feedback and so much just, helping people like with, oh my God, I've always wanted a recipe for that, or oh my God, my kids really like this one. And because a lot of it is I kind of take what's considered junk food or like soul food and like make it healthy and nutrient rich. And that's just something I like to do, and I'm bringing so much value to other people just by being myself. And that is the point, is like just by being you and like honoring yourself and not worrying about how it looks or whatever, you organically bring so much value to people's lives, including your own, because you're in that flow state and you're a channel for whatever creative thing is supposed to come through you. Like, creativity is basically, it's a very high vibrational state. It's the universal state, the God state, or whatever. It's a channel that's working through you. And really that's all we're meant to do, is like create good things and be a channel for that, and not do anything, interact with people, have jobs, with things that aren't supporting us or making us our highest and best. And, yeah, we have family that we have to tend to, but you could also, keep your boundaries around that if that's an issue for you. So always doing things that are in your highest and best is super important. So finding your desire, journaling about it, understanding your passion, having the faith that you are supposed to do this, and just constantly keep going, or whatever that is. Like, just keep going, keep practicing it, whatever. I also like to talk about Michael Jordan, who's so passionate about basketball, couldn't even make the fucking high school team. But was he like, oh, okay, I'm done? No, he wasn't. He continued to practice and practice and work and work and work harder than anyone, because his passion drove him. And, you know, when you love something, it just, you know, you're so absorbed in it, doesn't feel like work. I mean, sometimes it does. We have those moments where it feels like work, but really, even when it does, it feels so good because that work pays off. Let me get some water. So just keep going, keep persisting in that, and all the support, the finances, everything will come in because you're putting that energy to it. And then also, I don't think this is important like at first, because if that desire is the most important thing, but having like some type of vision, like how do you want it to look in the future? Do you want to, I want to inspire people on a global level. I definitely know that in whatever way I can. And that's part of my vision. And you want to make X amount of money, that could be part of your vision. But I think that when you do have a vision about something, it's important to, like, how do you want to impact people? The money will come, the money will flow in more than you can even imagine, but how do you want what you're doing, what you're creating in the world to impact people? Like, what are you doing something that is healing people? Are you doing something that's entertaining? It's so important entertainment is not this frivolous thing. It's like raises the vibration of people, it inspires people, it produces more creativity. Are you creating something that's really convenient for people? Like, did you save someone a lot of time? All we have is time. You know, our time is so precious. So if you develop something or you provide a service that saves people time, that's wonderful. Even if it's just like, say you're like a housekeeper and your passion is housekeeping and you want to have a housekeeping company. Like that, do you know how great that is for a lot of people that, you know, you could have like a beautiful clean home, do other things, and, you know, have someone come in your home that does a great job that you trust, and that's a big deal. So nothing is a big or little deal. Whether you want to be, you know, the next, Steve Jobs, or, you know, or you want to be like the best mom, our best housekeeper, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Don't put a value system on it. Like, whatever society values, like, don't even include that in this process, this internal process that you're doing. But having a clear vision of like how you want to impact people. When you have something, like, imagine their reactions, imagine how you live your life on a regular basis, and the type of people you're hanging out with and how you're impacting people, because you will draw that into you. And then another thing, let me see what I have in my notes. So a lot of people, I want to show you guys a book. This book is called Mastery, by Robert Greene. And he wrote a lot of other he's a very controversial author, but this book isn't really that controversial. It's just a good book about his journey. He's written these really unique books, and you know, he had all these like little pieces in his life just kind of come together. And all of a sudden, he really wanted to write his own books, but he was stuck writing things that he wasn't really passionate about. But he talks about how all these things in his life came together to finally get him to the place of doing what he wants to do. And then, of course, all these other things flow in. And, of course, more money than he could ever imagine flowed in, just, you know, from being in that state. So even if you're not exactly where you want to be, honor and cherish and love it, because it's bringing you towards something better, or your ultimate goal, or whatever it is. And it's just a really good book about, you know, finding your vocation, is what he calls it. Not your career or your job, but your vocation, which is what your calling, what you were sent here on earth to do, which is something that is so amazing and exciting and sacred, right? You know, it's not like whatever is in your heart is like meant to be in the world, and it's super exciting. And so yeah, just your dreams aren't like a frivolous thing. I love really like reiterating that all the time. And then the other thing that, or a few people that I really like, that like I study them. Steve Jobs has been in flow, and talks about, following your dreams and not being in this kind of very narrow way of life and, bumping into walls. He has that whole like speech that, you could find all over YouTube, but, just thinking outside the box and like doing things that people think are crazy and don't make sense. And yeah, they don't make sense because they haven't been invented yet. They don't make sense because no one else is you. So, just being in that space of ultimate creativity and originality. Of course, my girl Oprah, even though she doesn't know me, like I said, she's my imaginary best friend. Besides, I'm like her imaginary Gail. But, and then Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins, I watch a lot of his videos in the morning. I watch like inspirational things in the morning when I'm doing my cardio. But I really like him because he's so much energy, and he talks about like using your body to change your state. And so if you're, we all have like times where we're low energy, something pisses us off that really, we shouldn't be allowing to piss us off or something like that. He's about like, boom, change your state, change your state, change your state. And he came from a really shitty circumstance, growing up, just like abuse, poverty, everything. And, not a popular kid in school, all this stuff, but he had a desire to what he says, like in suffering. He doesn't want people to be hungry because he, spent a lot of his childhood being hungry, not being able to eat. And he doesn't want people to suffer, and he wants to like raise the consciousness of everyone that he touches. And he's very, very passionate about that. And he is someone that is completely just like living in his passion, exactly what his heart loves and desires and what makes his soul sing. He's living every single day and travels all around the world and has a bunch of different companies that are, I think that, worth billions of dollars, and he's just in flow. I mean, when Oprah or Serena Williams or someone, a celebrity, Andre Agassi, had his big comeback because of working with Tony Robbins, it was just like an instant, type of shift. And he's so powerful because he's so living in his passion, not overthinking anything. You could tell by when he's talking to these huge audiences, he's just in flow. There's no notes, he's just walking around like, that's it. And that's what happens. It's also a lot of practice, but that's what happens when you're just totally in that state. So I encourage you to live your passion, write about it, honor it, like give attention to it, ignore everything else. What you focus on expands. So just focus on that, immerse yourself in it. Feel like you should have like those lovey, like flowy feelings flow through you, and just keep going. Once again, it's that desire. What is your desire? What like makes your heart sing? And then having the faith, like just start doing it. Just start doing whatever it is, putting that website together, devoting a couple hours a day to having it be your whole day, but keep going, keep going, keep going without any negative doubts, fears, or anything, any naysayers getting in your way at all. Anyone that's not supporting your vision, girl, bye. Bye, Felicia, out. Like, that is a super serious thing too. Don't keep them around. Don't call them, out. You're out. And then, having that clear vision of how you want to impact people. And then having some role models. Like I said, I listen to Tony Robbins, Oprah, read stuff about Steve Jobs, and just, different successful people because, I want to emulate them. They kind of know what they're doing. So anyway, if none of you guys have questions, if you're watching this later and you have questions or anything, go ahead and write them in and I'll definitely get to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put these books in the comments, especially because I cannot pronounce his last name, but awesome. These are both really awesome books. All right. Have an amazing rest of your week. This is the Kitchen Table Talk Show. So we don't have a guest. When I don't have a guest, I like to hone in on a topic that I'm really inspired by. But yeah, so stay tuned next week, and thanks again for watching. Have an amazing week. Woo!